A brand new person, when they first get started, they're just excited. They don't really understand all of the concepts. They don't really understand all the intricacies. They don't really understand the details, right? They don't understand contracts, but they're excited about the possibility that this could potentially work for them. So what they do is they start blasting it on social media. They start talking to all of their friends and family. They start going out there and saying, hey, I'm looking for houses. I'm looking for ugly houses. I'm looking for something that I can purchase myself, a fix and flip. And they're just talking and talking and talking and talking. And here's what happens. Those people, they somehow catch a break, and then they get a deal in their first, 7 to 10 days. They get a deal in their first 15 to 20 days. They get a deal locked up. They find an opportunity. They get it locked up. And then what they do is they go out and they assign it to somebody else. They make a profit. And then here's what happens. Then they want to get smart. Then what happens is they say, okay, I must have missed something along the way. I must have missed something throughout this process because this was just too easy. And so now all of a sudden they want to start studying all the details. This was something that I actually covered last night. It's a play on words of surviving, wholesaling, castaway, just a whole element of that. And in honor of that, I have my background as a mountainous terrain, a camping background. And if you're seeing this on YouTube, then you see the stars in the background. And I'm wearing a animal print golf shirt as well. Although the animal print doesn't necessarily match the mountains, but whatever. Just roll with it, right? Just go with it. So, what we are talking about now, give me a quick thumbs up so that I know that you guys can hear me okay. I want to make sure that it looks like the mic's working and everything's working smooth. So if you could give me just a quick thumbs up to let me know that you hear this okay, that would be fantastic. It helps me so that if I need to make any last minute adjustments, I can make those adjustments. By popular demand, I am doing this again. The theme behind this live broadcast is really just, if you were stranded in a mountain, right, in a mountainous terrain, if you're out in the woods, if you're out in the forest and you're stranded and all you have is your cell phone and with a signal, so you've got your cell phone and your signal, and the only way for you to be rescued would be for you to generate $2,500 with your cell phone and that signal, could you do it, right? Could you do it in 30 days? And we're going to show you how you can make $2,500 in 30 days with nothing but your cell phone and a signal and one pair of underwear. I didn't put that part in the slides. I probably should have, but I think you get the point. So we're going to get started in a little bit. I'm going to let the algorithm kick in. Thanks, Ezra. I appreciate you letting me know about the sound. It looks like the sound is coming through smooth. I'm checking YouTube as well. Again, I've got 3 different platforms that we're streaming on, a few different cameras. So if by chance it looks like I might not be looking directly at you, or if I'm glancing up to the top left, it's because I'm looking at the comments, I'm looking at the stream, and I'm looking at the camera. Additionally, just so that everybody knows, yes, I am blind in my left eye. So if my left eye seems to droop, or if it just seems to go off on its own, deal with it, right? Notorious B.I.G. didn't mind, and I don't mind my left eye either, right? It is who I am, and it's part of what part of my makeup. So anyway, all right, how to make $2,500 in 30 days with nothing more than a cell phone if you are stranded in the mountains, in the forest, and all you've got is a cell phone and a signal. And the only way to get rescued, the only way for people to find you, as part of the game, is you have to generate $2,500 in 30 days just using your cell phone. Could you do it? And I say that you can, and we're going to talk about how to do it. And look, in our business, when you are a real estate investor who is using wholesaling as one of their strategies, making $2,500 really is very, very conservative. It doesn't sound like much. There are plenty of other people who are posting HUDs, they're posting checks, they're posting wires, they're showing cash, checks of $5,000, $7,500, $20,000, $40,000, and that's all great. But I want to be really, really conservative here, and I want to just say, look, with your cell phone and nothing else, with a signal, could you use that phone to help you generate $2,500 in the next 30 days? And I'm going to prove that you can, and I'm going to show you that you can. It is not that difficult. Now, once you master that, well, then it should be easier for you to then scale that up and do it, using a whole variety of different strategies and a whole variety of different tools. Okay, it is currently 9:11. I am going to get started. Let's go on to the next slide. All right. Now, let's. I already covered this, so I'm not going to go over the slide again. But for the sake of the fact that I am recording this, I'm going to cover it one more time. Assuming that you are stranded in the mountains and you have nothing more than a cell phone and a signal, a phone signal, a Wi-Fi signal, a Starlink signal, whatever signal you want to use. Assuming that you have that, we are going to go over how you can generate at least $2,500 in the next 30 days using nothing more than your phone and strategies that we use to wholesale real estate, to assign real estate as real estate investors. Okay, number one, everything has to be free using these strategies, okay? So again, what we're saying is you're not going to be able to use any money, you're not going to be able to buy any leads, you're not going to be able to do anything that is going to require an investment of money on your part. We're going to talk about nothing but free strategies and nothing but free techniques, nothing but free apps. Everything is free. The only thing that you have is your cell phone and a signal and your underwear. That's it, okay? So cell phone and free apps. Now, the first thing that I am going to recommend, okay, if you are, and part of the rule is you're stranded in the forest and the only way to get rescued is for you to make that $2,500, you can't use social media to get people to come rescue you, okay? That's not part of the way this game works. So, number one, social media blast, okay? If you were stranded and you're stuck in the forest and you have no food and you have nothing to get by and you know that the only way for you to survive is for you to make that $2,500 using the strategies that we're talking about, would you really care about what other people thought about you on social media? Would you really care? Right? No, you really wouldn't. All you care about is just surviving and doing whatever you need to do to survive. Now, here's the thing. A lot of times people, when they get started in our business, okay, there's two phases. There's the first phase that I like to call intelligence on ice, which means, ignorance on fire. I apologize. It's called ignorance on fire. Somebody who's brand new doesn't know what they're doing. They don't know the details of the contracts. They don't understand the whole concept. They just know that they saw someone who generated a check for $7,500 and all they did was they found a seller, they negotiated a price, and then they assigned that contract to somebody else and they made a check for $7,500. And so they're excited. All they know is that their mission is to find ugly houses. So someone who's brand new, they get involved, and what they do is they start looking for ugly houses and they're talking to people and they're just excited and they're getting their phone and they're saying, hey, I'm a real estate investor now. I'm looking for ugly houses. If you have a friend or a family member or someone that has a property that's too much work for them, has a property that they can no longer maintain, has a property that they've inherited and they no longer want, has a property that's just too big for them now, please introduce them to me. Let me know about them. Give them my telephone number. Give them my social media handle. Or better yet, I'll contact you and you can give me their information and I'll get a hold of them. If you knew that the only way for you to survive in the treacherous mountains would be to do stuff like that, you would do it without hesitation if that was the only way for you to survive. Again, but some people, when they get started, they want to be these ninja investors. They don't want anybody to know about them quite yet. And so going back to what I was saying earlier about a brand new person, when they first get started, they're just excited. They don't really understand all of the concepts. They don't really understand all the intricacies. They don't really understand the details, right? They don't understand contracts, but they're excited about the possibility that this could potentially work for them. So what they do is they start blasting it on social media. They start talking to all of their friends and family. They start going out there and saying, hey, I'm looking for houses. I'm looking for ugly houses. I'm looking for something that I can purchase myself, a fix and flip. And they're just talking and talking and talking and talking. And here's what happens. Those people, they somehow catch a break and then they get a deal in their first, 7 to 10 days. They get a deal in their first 15 to 20 days. They get a deal locked up. They find an opportunity. They get it locked up. And then what they do is they go out and they assign it to somebody else. They make a profit. And then here's what happens. Then they want to get smart. Then what happens is they say, okay, I must have missed something along the way. I must have missed something throughout this process because this was just too easy. And so now all of a sudden they want to start studying all the details. They want to know all the contracts for every state back and forth. They want to know all the laws for every state back and forth. They want to understand, all the cap rates and maximum allowable offers. And they want to understand all this information. And then they shift from ignorance on fire where they really didn't know what they were doing, but they were just excited talking to a lot of people, they shift to what we call intelligence on ice, and all of a sudden now they do know this information. They do know their contracts. They do know their timelines. They do understand the acronyms. They understand this business better than most people who are really in the business in many cases, but then they forgot what really got them the business. And what really got them the business initially wasn't knowing all of the contracts or the legalese or the acronyms or the terms. What really got them the contracts in the very beginning was them just going out there and talking to people, was them going out there and just posting about it, was them going out there and just being excited about it. That excitement was contagious, and what happened was people started hearing their voice, they started hearing their message, and they started referring them business. They started talking to other people, and then that's how they got their first contract, was that phase of intelligence on ice where you're just excited versus, ignorance on fire where you're just excited versus being on intelligence on ice where you're not really doing anything, because all you're doing is you're just capturing information and you're not really taking any action. So if you're brand spanking new, it's okay that you don't know everything. I think that's the biggest misconception that people make, is that they get involved in this business and they think they need to know everything about it. They need to know all of the details. And the truth is, you really don't. What you need to do is focus on what makes us the most money, and we make the most money when we are making contact with other people. Now, that contact can be a variety of different things. It can be on the phones, it can be direct message, it can be text message, it can be emailing, it can be anything you want, but it's a contact sport. And so the more excited you are about making contacts versus being more excited about understanding all the information that there is to understand, the more successful that you're going to be. So when you are trapped in the forest and you're trying to get a message out, you're going to be going out there and you're going to be sending these messages like, John or Jane, listen, my name is Paul. I'm excited about what I'm doing. I'm looking for ugly houses. If anybody has a friend or a family member who has a house that has too many repairs, who has a house that has fire damage, who has a house that has foundation damage, who has a house that they just can't afford to repair or they don't want to repair, refer them over to me. I'll take care of you. And then you can establish some type of whatever referral fee you want to give that person for doing that for you, okay? So, number one. First thing you're going to do if you're stranded in the forest and all you got is your cell phone and one pair of underwear is you're going to go out there and you're going to do a social media blast telling everybody about what you're doing and asking them for their support so that they could refer you over anyone that might have an ugly house that you could potentially get as an investment or as something that you could wholesale or assign, okay? Next slide. Okay, the apps that you're going to need. You're going to need Zillow. Okay, Zillow's free. There is no excuse. So you're going to need Zillow, you're going to need Facebook, and you're going to use Facebook Marketplace. Now, before I start going down all of this stuff, let's just talk about Zillow, okay? Now, if you don't know, I had an assistant that created a Zillow spreadsheet for me. And that spreadsheet has every search term or every search phrase that you could think of that an investor would be looking for if they were shopping on the MLS for their next opportunity, for their next deal. And we're talking about phrases like fixer-upper, as is, bankruptcy, bank-owned, REO, needs TLC, handyman, handyman special. All of those phrases, what my assistant did was he created a spreadsheet with a filter for every one of those phrases in all 50 states. All you have to do is you click on the cell, and the cell will open up the predetermined search, and you will see all of the specific homes that fall under that category or have that search term, search phrase, keyword in their property description, right? So if you want access to that spreadsheet, it's $10, guys. I do that just to pay my assistant for having done the work for me. You can go to Zillow.dispodragons.com, Zillow.dispodragons.com. It's $10. You go to PayPal, you pay it, then it automatically redirect you to the spreadsheet. You have no idea how much of a time saver that is. No idea. That spreadsheet is worth tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it's $10. I mean, quit complaining. All right, so now going back to what we were saying earlier, though, in this case, you're in the mountains, You can't buy anything, so you're just going to use Zillow for free. Okay, so let's just say that you use Zillow for free, and now you're going to have to manually search for all of those key phrases, and you're looking for key phrases like fixer upper, and you're looking at all the properties that are on the market, or you're looking for all the properties that are for sale by owners, and you are going to reach out to those people. We're going to talk about outbound marketing in a little bit. So you're going to need Zillow. Second thing is Facebook, okay? You're going to use Facebook, obviously, for social media and for sharing what it is that you're doing, and for the fact that you're looking for these ugly houses. And if anybody has any friends or family that they could refer over to you, you're going to ask for their support. Now, I didn't really talk about this on the last slide, but let's talk about it now. A lot of people have trouble posting on social media for a couple of reasons. Number one, because they're embarrassed, but number two, because they feel like they've shared that message too much, or they're afraid that somebody is going to get turned off by hearing their message too much. Now, let's address that right now. Number one, the average human being has to see something a minimum of 7 to 9 times, some people say even 12 times, before they actually change any of their buying habits, or before they even associate you with a certain message or a certain activity or a certain brand, okay? They need to see it they need to see it 7 to 12 times before their buying habit change, or before they associate you with that brand, okay? So if they need to see a message of a minimum of 7 to 12 times, you have to ask yourself, how many times are you actually sharing that message? So there's people that are going out there and they're saying, well, I shared that message, once last week, and then, a couple months ago, and then it's 7 times is not a lot, right? And more importantly, you also have to understand that these social media platforms are throttling your messages anyway, or your posts anyway, right? So you'll post something, and then you'll think that everybody saw your post and that they should know what's going on with your life. Think about this. You've had a friend, and I've had a friend, where you haven't seen them in a couple of weeks, and then you catch up to them, and they're like, did you see where I went 2 weeks ago? Did you see where I went a month ago? And you're like, no, I have no idea. What is it? Where'd you go? What are you talking about? And they think that just because they posted it on a social media post, because they posted it on a reel, because they posted it on a short, because they posted it on a TikTok, they think that because they posted it, you know exactly what's going on in their life. And that is not the case. Most people are so wrapped up in their own personal lives and their own personal problems that, number one, you don't really notice. And then number two, again, these social media companies really want you to pay for advertising. They want you to pay to boost your posts. And if you haven't made contact with someone on a social media platform lately, then you're probably not going to see that post anyway. So you're thinking that people are seeing you talking about your business. You're thinking that people are seeing you talk about how, you're looking for ugly houses, how you're a real estate investor, how you're looking for houses that you can buy. And if they know of anybody, please refer them over to you. You're thinking that they're hearing your message, and the reality is they're not only not hearing your message, but they're not hearing your message enough. So you have to learn how to become much more vocal about what it is that you do. You have to become much more vocal about the fact that you're looking to create fans who can refer business over to you. You have to ask for the business, okay? And I know that some people are like, I don't want to ask for anything. I just recently went to a mastermind meeting with David Meltzer, and there was a lot of 7-figure, 8-figure business owners in that mastermind, and there were celebrities in that mastermind as well, including Tom Bilyeu. And they were all speaking, and they were all sharing, best practices on their business to help us out. At the beginning of that mastermind, the very first thing that David Meltzer told us was, I need every one of you to please stand up, and I want you to give us your ask. Now, what he meant by your ask was, what do you hope to get out of this mastermind meeting? And how can everyone in that mastermind meeting, how can they help you accomplish your goal? So you had to get up in front of a room of people, right? 7-figure, 8-figure entrepreneurs, and you had to come up and you had to ask what they could give you so that you could they could support your business, how they could help you make you more successful at whatever it is that you're doing. So Think about this. How intimidating is that you, I'm thinking like myself, I have to get in front of a group of people that are 7-figure, 8-figure entrepreneurs, and I have to ask them something so that they can help me with my business, right? So I'm not going to go into what I asked for. But anyway, the point is that you have to get comfortable, just like I had to get comfortable with the ask. You have to get comfortable asking for business. There's no shame in asking for business. A closed mouth isn't going to get fed. So you're going to have to get up there, you're going to have to get your phone, and you're going to have to say something like, John, or hey, it's Paul. Listen, if you guys know of anyone, please, I'm a real estate investor, and I know that some of you might know that I'm just getting started, but I'm looking for houses that I can buy and add value to. Ugly houses, houses that need repair, houses that might be tear downs, houses that might have fire damage, houses that might have foundation damage, whatever it might be. Listen, if you have a friend or a family member, I need you to think of me first, refer them over to me, or give me their contact information. I'll get a hold of them myself, and I promise I'll take care of you too. Right? Boom, you shoot a video and you post it. And you think that just by posting it one time, people are going to remember that message, and they're not. They're not. And Gary Vee is talking about how none of us, including himself, are posting enough for people to change their buying habits and for them to turn into your raving fans so that they can refer you business, okay? So anyway, we were talking about Facebook and we were talking about social media, and I did go on a little bit of a tangent. I technically was supposed to do this on this slide, right, on social media, but I ended up over here. Let's go back to Facebook now, and let's talk about Facebook Marketplace, okay? Free app, Facebook Marketplace. Now, I should have put Craigslist on there too, but you're going to be able to find opportunities and deals on Facebook using Facebook Marketplace, okay? Let's talk about that for a minute, okay? On Facebook Marketplace, you're going to find a whole bunch of real estate agents that are posting their listings, real estate agents that are posting other people's listings. They may not be their own listings. They're trying to get buyers. They're trying to capture a buyer to help them, that they can represent. And then you're going to find wholesalers that are on there as well, promoting their deals, promoting other people's deals. And then you're going to find owners. That's what you're going to find on Facebook Marketplace. I would venture to say that about 85 to 90% of the listings on Facebook Marketplace, well, let's just say that 75 to 85% of them are going to be real estate agents. Another 10% of them are probably going to be wholesalers and investors that have opportunities. And then the remaining 5% are going to be actual owners that are promoting their properties for sale. You're going to have to get used to that. You're going to have to accept that, and you're going to have to kiss a lot of frogs before you get your prince, your princess, your prince, or whatever. That's just part of the process, okay? Part of the process. So when you go onto Facebook Marketplace and you see an opportunity, here's what I don't want you to do. I don't want you to click on the property and then read the description and then go down to see who the person is that's representing that, or who posted that on Facebook Marketplace. Then click on their bio, then click on their profile, see if they're an agent, read all this. You're wasting time, okay? You're wasting time. You don't have the time to do that, especially for the people that are working this business, building their dream around their existing 9-to-5. Oh, and let's not forget, what if you've got kids? What if you've got Little League? What if you've got other responsibilities? What if you've got your faith, right? You don't have time. You don't have time to sit there and, dissect a Facebook Marketplace listing to see if it's worth your time. Boom, shoot out the request. Is this available? By default on Facebook Marketplace, you send the message out. It says, is this available? Boom, that's the thing. That's it. It goes out to the person. Now that person is going to respond, and chances are, guess what? They're going to respond back with the default Facebook Marketplace response, which is, it's available. It is available. Are you interested? That's typically the default one. Or yes, it is. Are you interested? That's like the default response that Facebook Marketplace prompts users to send back, right? So like they're giving us responses to save us time as well. The next thing that I want you to ask that person on Facebook Marketplace is, are you the owner or are you the agent? Ask them that question point blank, all right? That will help you identify who you are dealing with. Now, if they respond back, well, I'm the agent, okay? Now you have to figure out if you're dealing with the listing agent or if you're dealing with the buyer's agent. So the next question that I would ask if they come back and say I'm an agent is, are you the agent, are you the listing agent representing the seller? At that point, the agent is going to tell you one of two things. They're going to say, yes, I'm representing the seller. In some cases, believe it or not, you will hear, yes, I'm the agent and I'm the seller. Or you're going to hear, I am the agent, I am looking to find a buyer for the property. Or you're going to hear, I am an agent, I am part of the team that is going to help find a buyer for this property. Look, all of that, that's great. The bottom line is you need to know if they're the listing agent, okay? Everybody else is just someone that's looking to represent a buyer. And God bless them, there's nothing wrong with that. They're trying to build their business too. Don't hate on someone, don't poo-poo on someone just because they're trying to build their business, okay? If they're promoting somebody else's business, somebody else's listing, God bless them. Let them do that. They're trying to generate, they're doing activities to trying to generate an income. Let them do that, right? So you just kindly say, okay, no problem, I'm looking to work directly with the listing agent. And they may get offended or they may say other things, but it doesn't matter. You just want to work with the listing agent. Once you find out if they're the listing agent, fantastic. Hey, are you interested? I could be. Is there any wiggle room in price? And now you're going to start to ask questions, right? And we have a whole list of questions that you're going to want to ask them, but I'm going to briefly touch on them. Is there any wiggle room on price? Number one. Number two, have you gotten any offers? Number three, where have those offers been? And then number four, if the seller doesn't sell the property, what will they do with it next, right? Those are the questions that you're going to want to ask the real estate agent. Now, let's just say that the next one is a wholesaler. So it's a wholesaler. Again, same thing. If the wholesaler is promoting an opportunity, you know, what are you going to do? That's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to assign the contract. So you just, you know, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Good luck. Now, an advanced person, okay, but this is mainly for new people, but someone who's advanced is going to be smart enough to work with that wholesaler so that they can create some type of a joint venture opportunity, and if you have a buyer, but we're not going to go into that today. And then lastly, you're going to have an owner. Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Is this still available? Yes, it's still available. Here's some of the questions that they might say. They might ask you, are you an agent? And you're going to say yes or no. I mean, look, when I respond, I have to respond to people honestly, and I'm going to tell them, yes, I'm licensed, but not in your state, or yes, I am licensed, but I'm not trying to purchase, I'm not trying to list the property, I'm trying to purchase it. Okay, so for those of you who are licensed, my personal recommendation is that you always approach a seller as an investor first. It's easier to pivot from investor to realtor as opposed to pivot from realtor to investor, right? You're not going to be able to do that. You can't get high on your own supply. So you can't get the listing and then go back and make them an offer below the list price that you recommended and try to buy it as an investor. It's not going to work. So approach all of them as real estate investors first. You can make the pivot if you're licensed, okay? So then you're going to go through all those questions and you're going to talk to the seller through the chat. Eventually, you want to try to transition that conversation from chat onto the phone, and that's a skill that you're going to have to develop as well. Okay, so your apps you're going to need Zillow, you're going to need Facebook, and then you can also use Craigslist, which is also an app, but most people are used to using it just simply online. The last thing that you're going to need is some type of a digital signature app, right? You're going to need something that you can use for free. There's PandaDoc, there's DocuSign, which will give you like 3 or 4 free envelopes per month or just once, I'm not sure. There's Adobe Acrobat. There's a lot of different digital signatures that will give you trials where you can send out, 2 or 3 to 5, per month, okay? So you're going to need some type of a digital signature once you want to send contracts out. Now, next slide. You're going to get used to doing outreach. You have to get used to doing outreach. And by the way, I am checking the comments just so that you guys know. If there's any questions that you might have, feel free to post them in the chat. I hope that this is helping people out, right? I know that initially when we started this conversation, the whole conversation was being a little hokey. And by the way, for a guy like me to use the word hokey, that demonstrates my age. Yeah. We were talking about how today we're talking about how to make $2,500 in the next 30 days. If you were stranded in the mountains and the only way to get rescued was for you to be able to prove that you had made $2,500 using just your cell phone and a phone signal. So this is what we're covering right now for those of you who have logged in a little bit late. You're going to have to get used to outbound versus inbound marketing strategies. Outbound basically means you're on the offense. You're contacting them. Inbound, what are some inbound marketing strategies? Inbound marketing strategies are pay per lead, pay per click, search engine optimization, search engine marketing, and blogging technically is also an inbound, or vlogging. Those are all types of inbound marketing strategies, and you should be doing inbound marketing strategies. For the sake of this example, we're not going to really talk about inbound because you're probably not going to see a lot of inbound marketing strategies in 30 days if you're using any of those other strategies, unless you're doing pay per lead or pay per click, which you could. But for this example, we already said that you have no money. All you have is a cell phone. Everything has to be free, okay? So you're stuck in the mountains, you're stuck in the forest, you've got wolves nibbling at your feet, you've got owls pecking at your ear. And so all you have is your cell phone, and you need to figure out what you're going to do. So you need to get used to doing outbound marketing strategies. You need to be used to going out there and you being on the offense, contacting agents, right? You're going to have conversations with agents, and you're going to have to get used to having conversations with sellers, which means you're going to have to know the dialogue. You're going to need to know the scripts. You're going to need to know what to say. A few days ago, I did a live where I covered the scripts with an agent. I can't really do that today, but I am slowly posting those on all our social media posts, so you can scroll through those and you can take a look at what it was. You're going to need to know a script for a seller as well. Get used to outbound marketing strategies, right? Once you've mastered outbound marketing strategies, then what you could do is you could invest some money on inbound marketing strategies. And once you get good at outreach, then you can also delegate, cold calling and a bunch of other things, okay? But just get used to it. It's part of what we do. You're going to have to get used to being on the offense versus thinking that this business is just going to be, you sitting back and people just calling you. Does that happen? Can that happen? Yes, but it's going to require an investment of money on your part and an investment of time to get them prompted to call you. And that's in the form of advertising, pay-per-lead, pay-per-click, or like I said, search engine optimization, which is some of the stuff that we do. Okay, let's talk about the earnest money deposit. How are you going to handle the earnest money deposit? Well, you're probably going to need some type of a JV partner, a joint venture partner to help you, or a mentor. You're going to need someone who is going to help you in this business in the form of a mentorship. Now, for those of you who are looking for mentors, just an FYI, we have a profit-sharing mentorship program. You can learn more about it by visiting start.dispodragons.com. Start.dispodragons.com. We have a earn while you learn system where you have a mentor that is going to help you close your leads, close your contracts, help you find buyers, and close your deals. You get paid, but you have a mentor that is there walking you through the entire process. And there's a certain split that each person gets, but everybody wins. Everybody gets paid. If you are a mentor, or if you are a bona fide closer and you've been doing this business a while and you know how to do this business, we are always looking for additional mentors to help us with our mentees. People are coming to us and they're looking for people to help them. And even if I wanted to, I couldn't possibly capture all of the business or help everybody that is looking for a mentor, even if I wanted to. So I'm always looking for people that would like to work with us, and would like to help mentor other people that want to get involved in the business. And for those of you who are mentors, here's what some of you are thinking, and here's what some of you might be saying. Well, that means I have to give part of the assignment fee to somebody else. And yeah, you do. That's probably what it's going to boil down to. You're going to do the same thing when you have a JV partner or a mentorship partner. But I need you to keep in mind that 100% of nothing is still nothing. Better to get a percentage and have someone walk you through the process so that you could earn as you learn, so that you could shadow them, and then eventually at some point you've become proficient and you won't need a mentor or a JV partner, and you can do it on your own. You will learn the process much faster. So if you're interested both as a mentee or as a mentor, we're always looking for people to join our team to help us with that. Go to start.dispodragons.com. Last thing that you want to do is you want to work with private lenders. You want to find people, private money lenders, PMLs, also known as bridge lenders, also known as gator lenders. These people will lend you money for the earnest money deposit. They will also lend you money, in some cases, if it's a private money lender, for the entire purchase, depending on how good the deal is. So you're going to want to network. You're going to want to meet people. You're going to want to know people. As laws and regulations change throughout the country, there are going to be many circumstances where you're going to need a private money lender to help you with double closings, right? It's already happening, so you might as well start networking now, and you might as well start knowing some of them now, because you might have a deal that you're getting ready to close, and a title company may say, we're not going to let you assign the contract, but you can do a double close, right? Well, if you're going to do a double close, which means that you close on the transaction A, one day, and then the private money lender funds that transaction, then the next day you sell the property that you now legally own to another buyer, so that the private money lender could get paid, and then you're left with the profits, right? So I don't really feel like I explained that as well as I could have, but I think you get the idea. So anyway, that's the concept behind this. So for those of you who are interested, again, in learning more about that mentorship, visit start.dispodragons.com. I think this is the last slide. So to recap, if you were stranded in the mountains and the only way that you could get rescued is to prove that you could generate $2,500 in the next 30 days with just your cell phone and a cell phone signal and one clean pair of underwear, could you do it? Absolutely. You hop on Zillow, you hop on Marketplace, you hop on Craigslist, you do as much outbound outreach as you possibly can, reaching out to sellers, reaching out to agents, making offers, sending out offers. Now, these offers don't necessarily have to be a contract. That's the other misconception, is that people think that it has to be a contract. What you can do is you can send out text messages, email messages, letters of intent. Offers have to be presented. I'm going to go back to agents. Okay, let's talk about agents for a little bit, and then I'm going to end this. So a lot of agents, when you are talking to them, what you will hear is that some of these agents are going to say, that offer's too low, I'm not going to present it to my seller. All right, and I want to make you a little bit more confident about what you are doing. Agents have to present all offers to their sellers, all offers, unless on their listing agreement it is stipulated that offers below X price are to not be presented to the seller. Unless there's stipulations in their listing agreement with the seller that says offers that are not on state approved realtor or board of realtor forms are not to be presented to the seller. Most agents do not put those clauses into their listing agreement. Those don't automatically show up on a listing agreement. Those are clauses that an agent has to manually type in or write in, and most agents don't do that. So I don't care if it's a text message, I don't care if it's an email, I don't care if it's a letter of intent, I don't care if it's a napkin and you wrote on lipstick that you're making an offer on 1234 Mockingbird Lane for $35,000. That offer is supposed to be presented to the seller unless they have those terms stipulated in their listing agreement. So the next time you have a listing agent that says to you, oh, that's too low, that's preposterous, I'm never going to present that to my seller. What I want you to say is, Mr. and Mrs. Listing Agent, is there a clause in your listing agreement that stipulates that you will not present any offers below, and then whatever price you're going to come at, $30,000? Does that appear on the listing agreement that I'm not aware of? And they're all of a sudden they're going to be like, blah, 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 blah. Most listing agents don't do it. How do I know this? Because I was a real estate broker. I still am a real estate broker. And at one point we employed over 150 real estate agents that worked for us in our office. And very few to none. I would venture to say that less than 3% of them ever had language in those listing agreements like that. So most agents aren't going to put that language in there. More importantly, they don't want to put that language in there because then what it does is it already limits what they can do as a real estate agent in terms of presenting their offers. So that language isn't in there. Oh, and another thing, if they say, well, if it's not on state approved forms, then I'm not presenting it. Again, Mr. or Mrs. Real Estate Agent, is there language on your listing agreement that stipulates that if my offer is not on a state approved form that it shouldn't be presented to the seller? And they're probably going to say no. Now, some of them are going to say like, yeah, I do have that language, but that's very few in between. It's very rare that they actually have that language in there, okay? I'm sharing this with you because I want you to be confident about you making those offers. Make your offers. Send the text. Send the email. Send the letter of intent. Send the napkin with lipstick, whatever you want to do. As long as it's in writing, it has to be presented unless they stipulate it in the listing agreement. And as I mentioned, 97% of them don't, so it needs to be presented. All right. It is now 9:45. These calls are supposed to only last about 30 minutes. I appreciate you being here and standing by me. I know that sometimes there might be a little delay in the audio. I apologize for that. We're hardwired now. Before we were trying to do it off of Wi-Fi, so hopefully that solved the problem. If you have anything that you would like to be covered on these lives, let me know. I'll make sure that we cover them. Or what I'll do is I'll do a video on social media answering your questions. So if you have any questions, challenges that are not deal specific, I'll cover it on the lives. If you do have a deal that you have under contract and you need some help pushing it out, give us a call. That's what we do. We dispo them. If you have a deal that you're analyzing and you just want to know what would be the best approach, the best price, the best exit strategy, and you just want a second set of eyes to look over it with you, let us know. We can do a quick call and we can go over what I feel the maximum allowable offer would be, and the best exit strategy so that you can close it. If you haven't picked up my book yet, please pick it up. I gotta promote it, because if I don't promote it, nobody's gonna do it for me. Deal Like a Dove, Dispo Like a Dragon. It's on Amazon. Deal Like a Dove, Dispo Like a Dragon. Deal Like a Dove, Dispo Like a Dragon. If you pick it up, and you take a picture of yourself with it, you shoot me that picture, or even better, you post on social media with you in the book, I'll send you a free code to download the Audible version. And the Audible version kicks ass. I had a young man, his name is Tim Alexander. He's an excellent voice actor and narrator, and he really, really did a phenomenal job of narrating this book. Okay? All right, everybody. I appreciate that. Thank you for the feedback, and thank you for the support. I'll see everybody a little bit later on. Take care, everyone.